You wake up, and your body feels heavy. You stretched. You drank your coffee. You tried to start your day. And yet, somehow, your mind feels just as tense as last night. Your chest still carries a subtle weight. Your muscles, your bones, your nerves, all humming quietly with the same low-level alertness. And now, you ask yourself, why? Why do you feel tired, even after resting? It's a cruel paradox. The very mechanisms that once saved you, your awareness, your self-reliance, your emotional discipline, are now the very things that keep you exhausted. You learned, as a child, to stay vigilant, to anticipate danger, to manage every emotion in your household. You were rewarded for noticing too much, for holding too much, for carrying more than you were supposed to. And now, those same skills, honed over years of survival, are exhausting you. The part of you that was strong, that was watchful, that could predict every conflict before it happened, is still alive. And now it whispers endlessly in your nervous system. Be ready. Be careful. Don't let your guard down. And now, your rest is no longer rest. This isn't laziness. It's adaptation. It's called parentification. And it's when a child assumes responsibilities far beyond their years. Maybe you soothed a parent's anger, mediated conflicts between siblings, or learned to anticipate emotional storms before they arrived. You became, in essence, a caretaker for survival. And now, as an adult, your nervous system never stopped anticipating. There's hypervigilance, a constant scanning, an invisible radar that never rests. Your mind notices small changes in tone, subtle shifts in facial expression, tiny tensions in the room. Even when there is no real danger, your body reacts. Muscles tense, heart rate subtly elevated, cortisol quietly flowing. And now, there's the default mode network. It's the part of your brain meant to reflect, to rest, to process. But in you, it replays past mistakes. It anticipates future failures. It analyzes every conversation you had, every interaction, every tiny perceived slight. Even in silence, your brain never stops. You learned survival. And now, your survival wiring is exhausting you. There's also internalized perfectionism, a quiet, constant voice reminding you, don't fail, don't inconvenience, don't feel too much. And now, every pause, every moment of rest, feels like a trap, because your mind does not know how to relax safely. And now, let's speak plainly about the cost. Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. You resist vulnerability, and yet you crave it. You resist rest, and yet your body aches for it. You resist being fully seen, and yet your deepest longing is just to exist. Without calculation, without performance, without vigilance, you paid an invisible price. The fatigue is layered, like sediment in your muscles, your mind, your spirit. Even joy feels filtered, measured, incomplete. Even intimacy feels like a tightrope walk, balancing authenticity and safety. Even solitude is a rehearsal, a silent expectation that you must manage every thought, every feeling, every risk, just in case. You learned to sacrifice authenticity for belonging, and now, that sacrifice has left a mark. You became the silent soldier in a war that never ended. You became the adult who survives, at the cost of inner peace. And now, every moment of rest becomes a quiet battlefield. You paused, but the nervous system does not pause. You breathed, but the mind does not stop. You slept, but the tension does not release. You were trained to endure. You were trained to survive. And now, endurance has become exhaustion. And now, let's look at what this survival shows up as in your adult life. You might carry everyone else's emotions. You apologize excessively. You anticipate discomfort. You feel responsible for others' happiness, even when it's not yours to manage. never truly rest. Even when your eyes are closed, your brain is rehearsing, analyzing, preparing. Your body remains tense. Resist help. You avoid asking for support, afraid that vulnerability equals weakness. And now, every invitation to receive care triggers subtle anxiety. Perfectionism in action, at work, at home, in relationships. Mistakes feel catastrophic. Every task, every role, every word is measured, monitored, corrected before it's even expressed. Blurred boundaries. You say yes when you want to say no. You absorb others' problems as if they are yours. And now, you are exhausted by generosity and obligation. Suppressed emotion. You hide frustration, sadness, anger. Your mind trained to manage feelings, leaving a residue of exhaustion in your nervous system that never dissipates. And now, recognizing these as coping strategies, not flaws, is liberating. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are not broken. These are strategies your body learned to survive. And now, it's time to unlearn. And now, the path forward begins. It begins with permission. Permission to rest. Permission to feel. Permission to exist without vigilance. It begins with inner child reparenting. Speak to the part of you that learned to grow up too fast. Tell that child, I see you, I care for you, you are safe now, and now, we will rest. It begins with shadow work. Witness the parts of you that are hypervigilant, over-responsible, endlessly calculating. Understand their purpose, and now, give them space to relax. It begins with boundaries. You do not need to carry every weight. You do not need to manage every emotion. You do not need to anticipate every disappointment. And now, it's okay to let some of that go. And now, it's time to recognize this simple truth. You are not broken. You are a survivor. Your fatigue is not a flaw. It is evidence of endurance. Your vigilance was once necessary. Now it can be softened. Ailing de Botton reminds us, the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to exist without the need for approval. And now, let this be your gift. You have survived, and now, you are learning how to live. You are learning how to rest, and now, you are learning how to be seen. Without calculation, without performance, without exhaustion. You are learning to come home to yourself, to recognize the part of you that has always carried too much. The part that believed vigilance and self-denial were the only paths to love or safety. And now, as you take each small step towards softness, you notice the weight beginning to lift, the quiet spaces within you expanding. There is a freedom in allowing yourself to be imperfect, in letting go of the need to control, to manage, to perform. You are learning that your value is not measured by how much you endure, how much you anticipate, or how much you sacrifice. You are learning that simply existing, breathing, feeling, pausing is enough. You are not broken. You are not alone. And now, you are learning to embrace yourself fully, step by step, moment by moment, toward the life you quietly deserve. You are discovering that your presence, simply as you are, is already whole. If this resonated with you, if something in this moment quietly reminded you that it's okay to pause, to rest, to exist without judgment, consider subscribing, not because you need to fix yourself, but because here, in this space, you are reminded that your endurance is real, your struggles are seen, and your journey toward gentle wholeness is honored.